This is the first time I've ever worn my guest jersey, so this is pretty legit. I feel good.
It looks good.
Yeah, bro. This was when it came in the mail. I was out of town somewhere, and my grandparents were like, "What did you order?" I was like, "Where does it say it's from?" It's like MLB. I was like, "Don't touch it." Yeah. No one opened. I was like, "This is so fresh, dude." I'm gonna have to get another one. I got to get you to sign this one. Yeah. I'm putting it in a frame.
One thing that's really cool that the Red Sox do is they just let us walk out with our jerseys. So like I walked out with my debut jersey, which was the white one, or I didn't walk out with it. They actually kept that one there and they authenticated it for me. So now like it has a sticker on it that says that I wore it, which I knew I wore it. So I don't really care about that. But then I walked out with like all 4 of the other jerseys that we have. So like I can hang those up someday whenever I get a house. And
that's hard right
awesome.
there.
So I think every year I get to keep all my jerseys. So probably give one to Coach Guy one year or something.
We're definitely going to get into your trajectory because, I mean, like, had a lot of success at a lot of levels, so we're going to get into that. You let me know whenever you're ready. Okay, we're going to clap. 3, 2, 1.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it because you all cap like.
It's time to start the show. Welcome to Stuck in My Thoughts. It's the place you want to be to hear a one-of-a-kind POV. I'm your host, Justin Stuckey, and we want to give a special shout-out to all of our sponsors. Special shout-out to Skyrocket Studios, where we're filming tonight. If you're tuning in, we appreciate all the support. Make sure you go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. And today's point of view comes from a guy that I've known since I was a wee lad, as they say. He is a Helena, Alabama native, an Auburn University alum, and currently a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. Richard Fitz. Richard, appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Been a long time coming.
Yes.
We've talked about this for a minute, and last time, I saw you recently, but before that, you had just got drafted. A lot of things have happened in a span of 6 years for you. But let's take it back. The railroad track in the background is already getting me to my next point. Helena, Alabama, which I believe is the greatest place on earth. How did that small town shape Richard, not only the player, but the person?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's the greatest city, I think. And, one thing that I love about it is just the community of it. I have friends that I can come back and talk to, and everybody's being successful like you are. And, it's a lot of fun just to come back and see where everyone's at, but also know that I have the support of everybody who still lives in the town and who I went to high school with and that kind of stuff. So it's really fun just to come back, but also know that I've got a home here anytime I need.
For sure. And a lot of times on our journey, we don't always have people to go on that path and do that before us. But you had a big influence in your older brother, Trevor, going down that baseball journey. How was his influence on you for the game of baseball?
Yeah, well, he's 7 years older than I am, so it was a really big difference in our age. And, ultimately I looked up to him as a role model. And, I wanted to kind of follow in his footsteps, be his shadow. Basically from the time when I could walk, I was at the baseball field doing anything that I could to just to be around my brothers ultimately. And, as he got older, I got to watch him kind of grow as a player. High school, he was dominant. He was awesome. It was so much fun to watch. Then he goes on to Mississippi State when I'm bleeding maroon. I loved it to death. And then, I got to go to a College World Series with him. I was there for like 2 weeks, and I was like, man, this is really cool. Like, there's no way that it could get better than this. Then I was able to go to play Auburn, and, I got to play in my own College World Series, and it was a really cool full circle moment. And now he's a coach, and I know that any time that I need him, I can call him, either as a brother or as a coach. So it's an unreal kind of dynamic that we have because he is a coach and he's also a brother at the same time. So it's just it's a perfect built-in relationship.
Yeah, you talk about how he went and played for a dominant program, Mississippi State, and you got to do your own thing in the SEC with Auburn. And I've had a bone to pick with my Auburn Tigers baseball team for a long time, but I'll let it go. But you approached the Plains as a walk-on, which is crazy to think about. How did you approach that team as, quote-unquote, a non-priority player?
Yeah, I approached it the same way that I do in everything in my life, and that I really care about, and it's with a lot of hard work. And ultimately, I wasn't a walk-on because they didn't think I was good enough or anything like that. But ultimately, I had an injury when I was a junior in high school, and that's the prime time to really get recruited. And I kind of missed out on a really big summer, really big junior season. And then I went to Auburn as a option just to go to school because I used to be a really good student.
Yeah,
I felt like I was really smart.
Super smart, man. All the chords in high school.
Oh yeah. Then I got to college and it was terrible. I didn't know how to study. I was bad at it, but ultimately I went to Auburn and I just fell in love with the campus. And then Coach Thompson there was the pitching coach for Trevor when he was at Mississippi State. So it was a great connection that I had there. And he was like, "Hey, we don't really know much about you because we haven't really seen you play, but from what we do know, we would like to offer you a preferred walk-on spot." And I was like, "Sign me up. I'm there." So I had the option between Mississippi State and Auburn, and I chose Auburn. And I immediately just having that walk-on mentality of like, hey, I got to earn my spot. I wasn't sure if I was even going to be able to play college baseball, let alone professional baseball. And right from the beginning, I gained a lot of weight. I just really worked hard to try and prove myself.
Yeah, we're gonna go jump into that. You just brought up a point, the weight thing, man. For those of you that don't know much about Richard, when I knew Richard was this big. He was really skinny. Oh, yeah. So just take us through the process, man. How did you go from being a skinny kid to built like a professional pitcher?
Yeah. Well, the Wellness Kitchen at Auburn.
Hey, shout out Wellness.
No, that place is awesome.
Yeah.
I was eating 3 meals a day there. But ultimately, I had that body where I was super skinny, but I had the body to kind of hold on weight whenever I actually put it on. Mm-hmm. Playing basketball in high school, I was constantly running, didn't really have the opportunity to put on the weight. Then stopped playing basketball and get to Auburn, and Wellness Kitchen will do it to you.
Yeah, for sure. When you were there, you talked about how you were super smart in high school. I still think you're super smart. But what was that experience like at Auburn just in general, outside of the baseball field? Like, what did Richard Fitz do for fun when you had time to do things besides baseball?
Yeah, well, I met my wife the first day of classes there. We started off with a really good friendship, and then built into a relationship from there. And so a lot of my days were kind of growing closer together with her. But I had a lot of teammates that I really enjoyed hanging out with. Played a lot of cards. So just trying to do my best of being a student athlete. The student comes first, and college was really hard. Just the classes were tough for me, but I enjoyed my time there. But whenever it was time to go, I was hitting the ground running into professional baseball.
You met your wife first day. Who shot their shot and what was said? Give us the rundown.
Yeah, so I'm hanging out outside one of the dorms and talking to a couple buddies from high school, and here comes a girl we went to high school with my wife, Anna Grace.
Okay.
And they went to church together here in Birmingham, and so she was like, "Hey, this is my friend Anna Grace." Then it was kind of just history from there.
That's what's up right there. Hey, certified lover boy, as they say. Shout out, Ed and Grace, man. Well, look, man, you talk about so many things a part of your college journey and so significant, and touching back on the walk-on. And college athletics today, there's no guarantee there's going to be walk-ons much longer. But for the ones that are in that space now and the ones that may approach it in these next few years, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I think treat every day like it's your last. I think you always have the opportunity to never play again, and it's something like you've dealt with injuries before, and you don't know if you're ever going to be the same again or even have the opportunity again. So really, just approach every day like this is the last time I get to do it. Enjoy the game. With baseball for me, it was just grinding, trying to throw harder, trying to get guys out. And then ultimately, I just fell in love with the game all over again, and it made it all worth it, even if I didn't get to play it again. Yeah,
you talk about the love of the game. Everybody approaches that for that sole reason. But a lot of times, I've seen it in college athletics, and my teammates especially. A lot of times, college athletics is a means to an end. They just either want to get their degree or they wanted to have had the opportunity to wear the jersey. For you, you had the opportunity to go farther than that, obviously. At what point did you know, hey, I could do this at a professional level?
I really didn't think I could until I really got drafted. Ultimately, just because I've always considered myself not as good as I guess I actually am. I still think that, but ultimately, I think the first time that I really started hitting me that I could possibly play professional baseball was COVID year 2020. I started going to some whatever we could do, summer ball kind of stuff, and there were some scouts there. Started talking to some people, started talking to some agents, that kind of stuff, and I was like, hey, wait, this might be a real thing. You know, I went from walk-on, I'm on a scholarship now, and now I might not even go 4 years in college now. So, then I got drafted, and it was a really cool experience, but also a terrible day. It's super stressful. It's I can't even put it into words of just how stressful, but awesome, but terrible at the same time it is. It's unreal.
For those watching this show, Richard has had the opportunity to be a part of the two greatest organizations in baseball history. You got drafted in the 6th round by the Yankees, and now you currently play for the Red Sox. I don't like to use the word luck. You're obviously blessed, but you're a lucky joker. How does it feel to just be a part of those two organizations in just a short stint of your pro career?
Yeah, well, going back to what I was talking about with the draft of just it being so bad, and it wasn't bad in the sense of me getting drafted, but more I had expectations going into the year. I thought I was going to get drafted higher. Then I dealt with some injuries in my junior year. But then the Yankees, they really. Do we need to stop?
No, you can keep going.
All right.
Sometimes we have technical difficulties on set, but we keep rolling.
This
is why we have Skyrocket Studios.
Let's go.
Getting everything going. Justice Hauser behind the camera, getting us right. And this is why we have 3 cameras. We put some investment in there.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
We're good.
Yeah.
But, the Yankees, they really took a chance on me. I didn't prove anything my junior year. Really hadn't proven anything, I felt like, my whole 3 years at Auburn. But the Yankees were able to give me an opportunity, and they put a lot of value into me early and kind of showed me what it's like to be a professional. And then they traded me to the Red Sox, and I was so happy because for one, it was a milestone. I kept seeing it was the 6th or 7th trade between the Yankees and the Red Sox ever.
Yeah,
and I'm like, it's a pretty cool company to be in. But ultimately, the Red Sox put even more value into me and showed me that I can be a big leader. That
is a pretty cool thing. But for most college athletes nowadays, they've experienced NIL, the 3 magic words. But for you, you didn't have NIL.
No.
And so you go from the stereotypical broke college athlete to making well into 6 figures. How do you be able to manage that money when you didn't have it before? That's the most money you've seen at one time.
Yeah, well, I think on the outside, you probably say that I didn't manage it super well because I immediately bought an engagement ring, and then I got, I did need this. I needed a new truck.
Okay.
So I kind of traded in my old one and
that's what's outside right now?
Yeah, a little bit of an upgrade. So, but didn't go crazy with it. But ultimately managing the money, it is tough because I didn't have anything. Mm-hmm. I was using my parents' card for gas because I literally had no money in college, and I'm paying my own insurance. I'm paying for my car, I'm paying for everything that I need, and it's tough, but it's also that's why you have people in your corner. You have you have your wife, you have your family, and then an agent too. And ultimately, I think just being able to live your life normally, and you can splurge a little bit, as far as enjoy life if you can, and but. Don't go buy a $200,000 car whenever a little cheap one's going to get you from point A to point B.
Don't pull a Shaq. Shaq's draft story, spent all his money, but he's a good businessman now.
Yeah, he made it up.
He made it up for sure. And so you get into the Yankees organization at this time. Can you give us insight about the minor league experience? Because I've heard a lot of crazy stories. All guys live in the same apartment. They go into the park to play, and they all go back to the same place. Yeah. How was your minor league experience?
I got in at the right time. It's a lot better now. They give us apartments that we live in for free. Then we get paid a little bit better than they used to, but it's a grind. It's baseball, and I love it to death. But going from college athletics to professional, it's a job. It's a professional job, and we're at the field for 10 hours a day, and then I'm doing stuff at home like nutrition, recovery stuff. So, it's super cliche for me to say it's a 24-hour job, but ultimately, I'm waking up and I'm in school, so I'm doing homework, but I'm also looking at scouting reports. I'm putting Normatex on so I can get my recovery in. I'm going to the field early to get my arm care in. So it's a grind, but ultimately you're working for a higher purpose, and I've been blessed with the opportunity to play. So I can count my blessings every day because of that.
Speaking of the recovery boots, I saw a post with you laid up,
man.
big chilling with the recovery boots. I was like, dang, I kind of need those myself, because when you come out of, you're still in it.
Yeah.
When you come out of athletics, man, you start to realize, I told people, I was like, the hardest part for me is not even like going to work out and continue that type of grind or anything, but it's like the recovery aspect of it. Like, I don't have an ice bath. I don't have recovery boots. I don't have a AT or a massage therapist there. So that's the hardest part. I need a roller. I need to buy a roller. I haven't bought a roller ever in my life, so probably need to go back to Auburn or Sanford and go copy one.
Yeah.
I gotta see about it. But we have this new segment on the show called "What Were Your Thoughts to Win?" And so I bring up a situation. You tell me what your thoughts were of that. So what was Richard Fitt's thoughts when he got the call up?
Ooh, a little overwhelmed. We're sitting in Rochester, New York. I just got to the field. And, you've seen the videos online. You see the big prospects. They get called up. There's a camera in the corner of the room and all that kind of stuff. I didn't get that. Unfortunately, our pitching coach came in. I'm literally, shirt is like over my head, and I hear my coach's voice, and he's like, "Put your shirt back on." I'm like, "All right, cool." Put it back on, and he's like, "Meet me in the manager's office." I'm like, I know what's happening, right? So I get in there, and our manager's like, "Hey, man, like, I really wish I could make this a big reduction for you, but we just don't know. But you're heading up to Boston. You might be pitching tomorrow. You might not be. We could see you on Tuesday, or you might be up with the big league team." And I'm like, "Say less. Let's go." So I immediately go outside. I call my wife. I call my parents. Then it's off to Boston. So we drove to Rochester, so we have to drive back to Boston.
Dang.
And so, kind of long drive. I made my wife do it the whole way. She was awesome about it. It rained the entire time. Meanwhile, I'm on the phone with like everybody that we can think of that would want to come to the games. We ended up getting 20 people to the game in less than 24 hours.
I saw a squad.
Yeah, it was a squad. So, it was just that's the logistics of it. But ultimately, going through my head, it was just, that's everything I've been working towards. And, it's still baseball.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a few more people in the stands. But, it's something that I've worked towards. It's something that other people have worked in me to get to. And that's ultimately what I'm trying to do, is just trying to make everyone in Helena known, make my family known, make everybody that has pushed me to be the very best that I can be known. Everybody deserves that credit, not just me. So, I've got Fitz on the back of my jersey, but it's everybody that's helped me along the way for sure.
Hey, man, you're putting Helena on the map for sure, and you've done it for a long time. But I heard from a little birdie that you had some quizzes due the day of your debut.
Yeah, I procrastinated a little bit, but what my plan is we had a Saturday game in Rochester. We were gonna play the game. I was gonna take the quizzes right afterwards, no problem. Well, then I get called up, and I'm like, crap. I got to do all these quizzes, and it's a proctor quiz, so like I can't do it in the car while we're driving. So we get to Boston, and I'm like, I got to knock these out real quick. Well, then I get a call, and they're like, "Hey, you're starting tomorrow." I'm like, well, sick. Now I can't take these quizzes. I try and take the quizzes. It didn't work for me. I ended up emailing my professor. I was like, "Hey, like, I know the quizzes are due tomorrow, but like I kind of got a big day tomorrow. Is there any way I can get an extension?" He was like, "Yes, congratulations. Like, take another day. You're good." So I got an extension. I did pretty well on the quizzes, and that was history.
Who is the professor? We got to give him a shout out.
Yeah. Shoot. I don't even remember now. I'm out of the class, so I kind of forgot about it. But
hey, shout out to you.
Shout out.
Professor at Auburn. We love Auburn. We love the professors there, because some professors might have made you take it.
Dude, I know. I was trying to take it, and I did my very best to do it, but, it happens sometimes. But
I doubt that this professor has social media, but...
I will say, I did an interview with the Red Sox, and I shouted him out. I told him, I was like, I looked in the camera, I was like, "Thank you so much for letting me do that." I sent him the video of the whole interview, so I hope he watched it, but we'll see.
We'll see. So... you get an extension on the quizzes.
Yes.
And now it's time to make your dream come true, basically. Yeah. Debuting, being in Fenway, going to take the mound. What was that day like?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I woke up before my alarm because I was a little giddy. I was excited about it. It was a day game, beautiful day. It was raining all day before, but literally as soon as we hit the Boston city limits, there's no rain in the forecast for the next week or so. It was awesome, and I walked to the ballpark, had my ginormous bag of stuff on my back from the hotel, and there's fans along the streets, and they're like, "Hey Fitz, go get them today. We're super pumped that you're up here." I'm like, I don't have a jersey on, nothing. Then these people know who I am. It's pretty cool. But going out to the field, I went out there before anybody got there and just kind of looked around, and I was like, wow, this is a dream come true. I got chills immediately, and it's 80 degrees outside. It was unreal. Then I gotta step up on the mound and actually pitch. I gotta take my job seriously. I gotta do everything, and it was really cool to have the success that I did, but ultimately, it's just what I'm trying to do every day.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of success, how would somebody who's had so much success at all types of levels, you were a state champion in high school, you played in the College World Series, and you've been a starting pitcher in the MLB, how would Richard Fitz define what success is?
I think success is a broad term. I think, there's a lot of levels to it. For me, success is showing people love and showing people the grace of God and that kind of stuff, and just how I can be a light to the people around me. But there's success in playing, because without me having success on the field, I wouldn't be able to reach as many people that I can, like this, like if I never played professional baseball, I would have loved to be on the show, and you may have had me on, but I don't know if it would mean as much. So, I'm super thankful that I'm on here, but it's success to me is reaching as many people as I can and showing the love that I can.
Yeah, man. Hey, I've known you a long, long time, and I knew you were the only person. I've said this story a lot. Senior year of high school, it was basketball season, and we had a lot of people that started with us that didn't finish with us. One of them being behind the camera right now, producing this show. But Richard was the only person I was not upset with for not playing basketball with us senior year. Cause I was like, dude, gonna take baseball. Richard's gonna do his thing in baseball. So you've definitely proving your point and gone a long way for sure.
It was probably a good thing I didn't play basketball that year.
Hey man, you was hooping. Richard was a hooper, bro. He was a killer multi-sport athlete. I was going back watching some old film. You was knocking down those threes, man. Part of the white caboose.
Yeah, man. I still remember there was one time I get subbed into a game super quick, and Coach Latch always told me, he said, take a couple minutes, get your sweat on, soak up the game for a second, then take a shot. Well, this game, I'm like, no chance. I get in the game immediately. I'm in the corner. I got a three-pointer. I get it. Boom, air ball. Come out immediately. Coach Latch is like, hey, man, what was that? I'm like, Coach, I was open. He's like, you overshot it by 5 feet.
That's when you knew you didn't be throwing that baseball for sure.
So then after that, I'm like, as soon as I get in the game, I'm catching it. I'm like, I'm looking for Stuckey. Where's Stuckey at? All right, there you go. Pass it on.
For all of you that are tuning in to Stuck in My Thoughts, I was a hooper once upon a time. I know they know me for track, and it's crazy because I had to defend myself when I got up to Sanford and Auburn because they were like, what do you know about basketball? I was like, what do I know about basketball? I was a hooper, man.
Yeah.
But high jump, it took the cake. But my career is over. Your career is just beginning. What do you wish you had known a little bit earlier in your career?
I learned this pretty quick, but what I wish I would have known even in college, maybe even in high school too, was just to ask questions. Mm-hmm. I think that's such a cliche answer, I feel like, but I get into professional baseball, and then they're trying to change things with you, and it's all for the better of you. They see things in you that they want to try out. They've got so many minor league guys that are trying to fill up 26 spots on a big league roster. So, they're trying out different things with me. They're telling me to throw this, not throw this. And I learned pretty quick that you need to ask questions of why? Mm-hmm. Why am I doing this? How is this going to get me better? And I tell guys now when they're getting into the game, if you don't like it, what they're telling you, ask why.
Yeah.
Because if it's a really good reason of why, you need to buy in and you need to do it. And if they can't tell you why, then you probably shouldn't be doing it either.
Yeah. How you balance that between learning what's best for you and We got a train in the background, everybody. This is not a sponsored episode by a train company, but if you want to sponsor, go ahead.
There we go.
How do you balance being able, trying to figure out what's best for you and then being coachable? A lot of times that doesn't go hand in hand.
Yeah. I think that's what made it easier in professional baseball to have that mindset, because everyone is very, this is my example that I give is I got into professional baseball and I said, yes, sir. Or like, hey, coach, can I do this? And they're like, hey, no.
Yeah.
I'm like 5 years older than you. Like, you don't have to say that to me. I'm like, yes, sir. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
So, immediately it was very just informal, whereas as athletics beforehand just felt very formal of like, yes, sir, yes, no, sir, yes, coach, blah, 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 blah. So, that kind of pushed me to start asking questions. I built good relationships with coaches. But if I were to tell somebody younger to do that, the fine line of it is ultimately just their tone of voice. If you yell at a coach, the coach is going to yell right back at you. And, ultimately if I do our coach and say, hey, Coach Latch, why did you not want me to shoot that 3? Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, because you have no idea, your heart rate's moving faster than it was. You're not in tune with the game yet. If you take 2 more minutes, then you take that shot, you're making it for sure. I would have been like, Coach, you're right. Thank you for telling me that. Mm-hmm. But if I immediately Coach, why'd you take me out of the game? What are we doing? Then it's a really bad way of going about that same thing.
Yeah, Coach Lash probably would yell back at you and spit some those little lifesaver mints in your face. Hey, man, we giving a lot of shouts to Coach Lash. Coach Lash is by far one of the most influential coaches.
Absolutely.
All 3 of us in this room have had. And it definitely tells, you talk about the village that you've had. People play a bigger part into the journey, and that's such a significant piece of everything. But if we were to go back in time, and if you were to tell high school Richard that he would have struck out Aaron Judge, what do you think he would have said?
Oh, I don't know. Probably I would have looked at myself and said, "Oh, that was pure luck." Then, and I still think it was a little bit of luck. That guy's amazing. I caught him at the wrong time too. He was on his longest streak without a home run in his career. But it's a fun game to where a little rookie like Richard Fitz can go into Yankee Stadium and strike out Aaron Judge. But also, his very next at bat, he hits a grand slam. So if you ask him, he had a really good night. Yeah. And if you ask me, I had a pretty good night too. So kind of funny how that works out like that.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out in your favor on that one. That's what's up right there. And as you know, the name of the show is called Stuck in My Thoughts.
Yes.
And I ask everybody that comes on, what is something that you constantly get stuck in your thoughts about?
Ooh, so I had this really big fixation on the Olympics this year. So I want to know, as a athlete who is constantly working towards kind of my one goal of the minor leagues to the big leagues, and I know you went through this a little bit of what is it like to be a high jump guy? What's it like to work towards something that's only every 4 years? And I know there's world championships and they talked about that a lot at the Olympics, but what is it like to go from basically nothing for 3 years to the biggest stage in the planet?
Yeah, well, it's crazy. And if you guys paid attention to our other episode that we had with 2-time Olympian Curtis Thompson, he kind of explained it to where, track and field is also growing exponentially right now. They're starting a huge league coming up, but it takes a level of dedication and focus because a lot can happen in 4 years. A lot can happen in 2 weeks. A lot can happen in a night. You get called up to a major league team. So it takes a certain level of dedication and focus and, want to and commitment on our end. Then you need blessings from the Lord. You need the situations to work in your favor as well. You have been blessed to be in the right situation at the right time. And, Olympics is the pinnacle, especially for track and field. And so it just takes a certain level of commitment, man, because for me personally, I was in the trials, 2021, getting prepared for Tokyo. And I was like, man, 3 years? We have a shorter because of the COVID. I was like, we don't have to wait 4 years. You got to wait 3 years. Then the next 2 years after that, I tear my knee. Yeah. That's a lot, in only 2 of those years. So you have to be prepared you have to expect the unexpected, and you have to be able to stay committed along that line. And then sometimes the Lord will pull you off that line and bring you in certain situations like this where I'm in a new path and a new process. But that's good. Something good to get stuck in your thoughts about. I'm gonna start getting second my thoughts about that one too. But
Well, for me, like this year, I loved the Olympics. I was leading up to the whole way. We actually had Eddie Alvarez was on my team, and he was the flag bearer in Tokyo. And so that was really cool. Like he was wearing his USA stuff to the field every day. It was awesome. So when the Olympics started, I was like watching every event. We had him on the TVs, and I was kind of sucking it up, like on the field. Like I wasn't pitching very well. The Olympics started, and I felt this fire under me. I was like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Pitched really well the first week that the Olympics started. The next week, I pitched pretty well. Olympics are still going on. Well, I'm like, I'm going to keep watching the Olympics. I had everything recorded. So every start day, I was watching the Olympics for the rest of the year.
Dang.
And so I was like, all right, this is my thing now. I love it.
Get you revved up.
Yeah.
Do you have any, with baseball, they have so many weird, like, superstitions and things like that. Would you consider that be one of them? Like, you wouldn't think many people I'm going to watch the Olympics to motivate myself to go play professional baseball. Do you have any other, like, superstitions or things that get you?
Well, that was my big one this year. But, I have a really extensive, my wife would probably say it's extensive, the night before routine of just, like, I try and get as much recovery in. I like meditate. I do all this and that. And, I try and do everything very exact, very to the minute, very routine, just so that I can't put any blame on anything if I play poorly or if I do really well the next day. I want everything to be the exact same every time.
I feel like everybody has their routines and those regimens. This is very weird. I don't even think it's weird. But you talk about you watch the Olympics to give you revved up. Before, when I was competing at a high level in track and field, I used to watch our old basketball games.
Let's go.
Because I would get, I guess, anxious, nervous is the way you could put it, before I've got a big meet. Like I'm competing I had the blessing to compete for 3 national championships while in college. So those are high expectations, high stakes. So if I would get like amped up and revved up, I'd be like, man, I need something that will kind of take me back to a even place. I used to watch the old basketball games we had because that was something that was peaceful to me. Confidence was at an all-time peak, and I knew that regardless of what the outcome was, I was going to give it everything I had. So that's just interesting how, athletes have those things. And then now I'm using it into my career, into my life to make that drive go. But you have so much more ahead of you. What is the goals? What are the goals? What's the plan for Richard Fitz going forward as not only the baseball player, but as a person?
Yeah. As a baseball player, I want to be up with the big league team all year next year. It's no guarantee I might be in the minor leagues next year too. So, ultimately I want that to be my goal, is just to pitch in the big leagues every 5 days, or every day, whatever they need me to do. As a person, I'm in a really good spot with my marriage right now. Right now, my family life is great. So anything I can do, just to help us financially to possibly, buy a house one day, or start a family, that kind of stuff, and really just try and be closer with friends. Sometimes I'm really bad about texting people, and I think relationships are a really big deal, and I think as much as we can help our friends out, I think everything that we're doing here right now, with Jay and you, it's just y'all have a great relationship going, and if y'all never reached out to each other, like where would y'all be? It's a perfect example of just how people feed off of each other, and that's what I want to be to other people. And I want people to look up to me as a role model, not because I'm a major league baseball player, but because they believe that I have the character of somebody that they want to be around.
Well, we only bring high character people on the show, and we appreciate your time. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share this episode. Be sure to follow Richard. He has a great career ahead of him, and we're going to catch you for the next episode. Richard, appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we out.
Whoa! Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah.